A violent takedown after a state trooper is called in to investigate a fender bender.
She's not a criminal. She's not a bad person.
That trooper now at the center of a lawsuit after a woman says her wrist was broken during the arrest.
This is America, and disrespecting a police officer doesn't mean that they can grab you and beat you up.
This is the same trooper accused of pulling an AR-15 on another driver while off duty. What we're learning about this latest incident.
Plus, the legislative session has come to a close. A look at the bills that could impact your wallet, what you'll have to pay, and what you'll save.
And Colorado continues to play a key role in the fight against coronavirus. The new study involving children that could have a nationwide impact.
The virus has evolved. It's taken a much shorter time to evolve than we thought it would.
A Littleton woman is suing a former state trooper who she says broke her wrist during an alleged fender bender investigation. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jason Grenow.
I'm Ann Trujillo. This is the same trooper who was recently fired for reportedly pointing a gun at another driver. Denver7's Lance Hernandez obtained a copy of the dashcam video and talked to the victim's attorney.
Dashcam video shows former state trooper Wesley Dakin chasing after Michelle Principe and throwing her to the ground, allegedly breaking her wrist.
This is what officers do when you tell them there's no consequences for your actions.
It happened November 13th, 2018. A man called police and reported that a vehicle with a trailer hitch backed into his girlfriend's car, leaving a golf ball-sized dent in the bumper. The dent, if there was one, apparently popped out when the weather changed. The lawsuit states that Dakin lied about the damage, saying he saw black paint on the trailer hitch, though he had earlier written that the damaged car was white.
I didn't hit anybody.
Principe was furious about receiving a citation and cussed at the officer. After waiting for nearly 30 minutes, she walked up to his car, knocked on the window, and said she was leaving, then began walking back to her car. Dakin chased her down and apparently knocked her down.
There's no law enforcement reason to do that. He was simply angry that she disrespected him. And in response, he attacked her.
These photos show bruises on Principe's right arm. Earlier this week, 2.5 years after this incident with Principe, Denver7 learned Dakin was fired for his alleged involvement in a menacing case at 10th and Sheridan. This Crime Stoppers alert indicates he'd apparently pointed a gun at another driver while off duty last April. He was charged with 2 counts of felony menacing.
The Attorney General's office has known about this for a long time. What happened with the 2 felonies that Trooper DeCann has right now could have been avoided if the Attorney General's office had not been hiding the misconduct of this bad officer.
The AG's office not commenting about Principe's lawsuit. Lance Hernandez, Denver7.
And tonight, the search continues for this missing 73-year-old. Pauline Krug has not been seen since 8 o'clock last night. She was going to walk to her daughter's home, but never made it there. Krug was last seen in the 1400 block of Truman Court in Louisville. Bloodhounds and canine units have been out searching for her. Krug was last seen wearing a purple shirt, brown shorts, and a tan baseball cap. She's from the UK. She speaks with an accent. Investigators say she does not have a car. She does have dementia. And today, the Boulder Valley School District said Krug is a former employee who used to work at Cold Creek Elementary in Louisville. So if you see her, or if you know anything, please call police.
Colorado lawmakers taking a deep breath after a long and at times contentious legislative session.
Hundreds of bills were passed. Some will save you money, others will cost you money. Denver7 political reporter Megan Lopez breaks down the impact on your wallet.
This body is diverse in our backgrounds.
It started as a legislative session focused on pushing past the pandemic.
Where we have so many things to do.
A session aimed at helping businesses, families, and the overall economy recover.
We know that people are hurting because of the downturn in the economy due to the pandemic.
Now that the session is wrapped up, we're taking a closer look at how it will affect your wallet. Let's start with the transportation bill. Here on Denver7, you've heard about the fees you'll eventually start paying on gas, delivery, rideshare, and more. Those fees are permanent once in place. Meanwhile, vehicle registration fees will drop over the next 2 years to help people recover.
The fees that are going to be placed on individuals, on businesses, mixed with the fee reductions that we have in there and the tax relief I think in the end is going to pay off in a big way for our economy.
If you use plastic bags while shopping, get ready to pay more. A bill passed by lawmakers will add a 10-cent fee per bag starting in 2023.
I think as being environmental stewards and ensuring that we leave a better Colorado for the next generation.
If you're a homeowner, some tax savings are on the way. Lawmakers agreed to drop the assessment rate for residential homes from the current 7.15% rate to 6.95% temporarily. Agriculture and renewable energy properties will also see a 2.6% drop.
We reduced the business personal property tax, or actually increased the cap on it, which is a big thing.
Some of the biggest tax reforms the state has seen in years were also passed, doubling the amount of earned income tax credit for low-income families and kickstarting a state child care tax credit.
Democrats have prioritized helping those most in need right now, those businesses as well, and then providing those tax breaks to working families to make sure that the tax code reflects the fairness that we all expect.
For businesses, there are some other fee increases on the way, and lawmakers did eliminate some of their tax deductions.
And Mr. Gregorio, please open the machine.
So Republicans are painting a very different picture of all the bills that passed.
I think the losers are the people of Colorado. I think that we keep putting stuff on the backs of families, and I think it's wrong.
But these changes only go into effect if the governor signs off on the bills first. Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
Colorado law enforcement organizations applauded the work of lawmakers this legislative session. In the wake of George Floyd's death and calls for police accountability, lawmakers were quick to take action. So let's take a deeper look at some of those bills that impact law enforcement, some of which passed, others failed. A bill that would have kept more people out of jail, requiring officers to write tickets for low-level crimes instead of making an arrest, that did not pass. Advocates had pushed for the bill, saying arrests oftentimes disproportionately impact people of color. Law enforcement agencies were concerned it would encourage people to break the law, thinking they could get away with it. Last summer, our state passed a sweeping police reform bill to make sure policing is fair and just. Well, this year, just as law enforcement agencies went to implement specific pieces of the new laws in Senate Bill 217, there was confusion. This legislative session, lawmakers clarified vague language so all agencies would be on the same page. And under that law, it required all departments and officers obtain and wear a body camera while responding to calls. That's a big cost for some agencies. This legislative session, lawmakers approved $6 million in grants for body-worn cameras. And in the last 30 minutes, we've learned JBS paid the equivalent of $11 million in ransom in the form of Bitcoin after the ransomware attack last week that forced the company to stop operations. The JBS company says after consulting with cybersecurity experts, the company paid the ransom to mitigate the attack and make sure no other data was lost.
JBS is also paying up around $5.5 million, but not in ransom, this time to its 300 employees to settle a lawsuit that claims they discriminated against employees based on race and religion at the Greeley plant. Now, the lawsuit was filed back in 2010 by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, alleging the company discriminated against black people, Muslims, and immigrants from Somalia. Specific complaints range from Muslim employees not being allowed to pray during their shifts. Some weren't allowed to drink water after a long day of fasting, or weren't able to wash their hands before prayer. Some Somali Muslim employees claimed they weren't allowed bathroom breaks. And other black and Somali employees say they had meat and bones thrown at them.
I thought nothing will happen because it took so long, almost 10, 11 years. And I'm glad that things will change for the future for the people who are behind me.
In a statement, JBS said it does not admit liability and is committed to diversity and inclusion.
Johnson & Johnson is working to extend the shelf life of its COVID-19 vaccine. Right now, the vaccine can be stored up to 3 months at refrigerator temperatures.
This comes amid reports that hundreds of thousands of doses may soon expire. Johnson & Johnson delivered more than 21 million doses in the U.S. According to the CDC, about 11 million have been administered. Here in Colorado, state health leaders say we have about 30,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Today, the state said they're not missing any opportunities to hand out that J&J shot. We're told the state is working with vaccine providers to keep moving doses to facilities that need more shots.
MSU Denver students now have a shot at free college tuition. Today, the university announced its own incentive called the Rowdy Return Scholarship. They'll award 5 undergraduate students who have received at least one dose of the vaccine free college tuition for the 2021-2022 school year. Back in April, MSU announced vaccinations would be made mandatory for students, faculty, and staff coming on campus this fall. The drawings will take place in early August.
And as part of the president's National Month of Action to get more people vaccinated, select Safeway locations in Colorado announced they will extend pharmacy hours every Friday in June until 10 p.m. to hold special vaccine clinics. More than 10 Safeway stores from Lone Tree to Denver, Aurora, and Fort Collins are participating. If you do get vaccinated in these extended hours, Safeway will also give you a coupon for 20% off your groceries. And if you can't make it to a Safeway this Saturday, Aurora Public Schools is partnering with the State Health Department to hold a free vaccine clinic. That clinic will be held from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the parking lot of the Morachek Middle School. That's off Telluride Street. You don't need to show an ID or proof of insurance in order to get that shot, and it is free. Of course, this push to get more people vaccinated comes from federal leaders who are eyeing a July 4th goal. Today, we learned Denver reached the president's goal to vaccinate 70% of its population with at least one dose of the vaccine by Independence Day.
Children's Hospital Colorado is playing a huge role in protecting kids against COVID-19. They're participating in Pfizer's vaccine trial for kids ages 5 to 11. Now, right now, there are no approved vaccines on the market for kids under the age of 12. Children's Hospital is one of 80 sites across the U.S. that is now looking at the efficacy of vaccine in young kids. Do young kids have the same immune response that older children and adults have? The study will also look at side effects and safety. So, why is this important now? Dr. Eric Simoes is leading the study here in Colorado, and he says this virus has evolved.
Hence the urgency to vaccinate children. The disease may be milder, but the virus is going to transmit. If more children get infected, because that's where it's going to spread, you are going to see an uptick in disease, and it's going to be more severe.
Once the study gets underway, we could see results in 6 months. The kids will continue to be monitored over the course of 2 years.
For the first time in more than 80 years, Colorado is home to a litter of 3 gray wolf pups. The wolf was driven to near extinction back in 1940. Just in the last week, between June 4th and June 8th, wildlife officials say they were observing a site occupied by colored wolves, wolves they call John and Jane, and they have visual confirmation of at least 3 pups. It's not clear if there are any more. A typical wolf litter consists of 4 to 6 pups, according to wildlife officials. A foot chase and a suspect tased. The confrontation that landed a Denver police officer a suspension.
Plus, this Fort Carson soldier is making history. She has a new title and a new crown. How she's using her platform to share a powerful message.
Fire weather warnings, ozone alerts in effect as the hot, dry conditions will continue.